You're watching Channel 4, the local station, home of News4Jax.com. The morning show starts now.
More than 58,000 Americans died during the Vietnam War, and as of mid-May, more than 1,600 American servicemen remain unaccounted for. Still, thousands came home with stories you still wouldn't believe to this day. Ross Lewis joins us now here on The Morning Show. Good to have you here.
Good morning, thank you.
I find that a lot of Vietnam vets are reticent to talk about the experience, and perhaps it's because it's been classified as America's most unpopular war. When you got them to open up, did you find a common thread in a lot of the stories that they were telling you?
Yes, there's no doubt. Well, first of all, I traveled approximately 20,000 miles to 14 states and met 57 veterans to capture their stories. At first, they were reluctant to let me in their houses. I was led there through introductions. But as we got into the interviews, which normally took about 2 to 3 hours each, they opened up more and more. And less it became the stories of what they were speaking about and more of their internal hearts, which is what the book is about.
Did you find that they were unburdened when they began to do that? Because, like I said, they didn't tell their stories very often.
It's the mission of this whole project beyond the book is the healing and the cleansing of what you're saying. These stories that are locked up for 45 years, mostly because of how, when they came back to the United States, it was a very unpopular war. And therefore, they didn't come back as heroes. They came back as people who had done a deed that was not popular in America.
So as cathartic as it might be to go ahead and tell these stories and have them published, there are still ghosts that haunt them, are there not?
The most important thing about all these veterans right now, which we're talking about, is that to unlock these stories, to heal themselves, and that's what the book is about. That's what my national speaking tour is about. Healing. That comes through being able to express yourself, to get it out, to speak to your wife, your friends, not just as a story, but as what it was for you over there, what it is for you as an American, and how you feel about things. If you cry, it's okay. If you feel lonely, it's okay. And all these tough guys that I talked to, they all, about 70% of them, broke down and shook my hand and said, thank you. This was so important for me to express myself.
We're looking at some of the hundreds of pictures that are in the book.
Yes.
And there are a couple of chapters that struck me. You know, we didn't have iPhones back then. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have Twitter. And these were just good old-fashioned little pocket cameras in many cases. But you had pictures that were from the war era that really told an amazing story. And part of the story that a lot of people didn't know are told in 2 chapters in the book. One's called Compassion for Children, and the other is Those Who Loved and Trusted Us. There was a bond between the American soldiers who were on the ground and some of the Vietnamese.
I used to be a professional photographer internationally for about 20 some odd years. And what I learned as a pro was that photography is an expression of yourself. It's a nuance of how you feel about the subject. And therefore, there's no accidents in pictures. And so clearly, I was sure that as each one of them carried cameras, the Vietnam veterans, even in very strong, dangerous situations, the actual heart of what you're talking about, of the soldier, even in a severe combat condition, would take a pause, and his heart and his feelings and his nuance of an American, of how he felt about his life and about the softness that was in front of him, that was in contrast to the horrors, really told the story of what was inside of these soldiers. And that is really the point of the healing of the book and what we're talking about.
It's interesting that you're here today because there's a convention going on, and I think we could take you there live. It's at the Hyatt on the riverfront, and these are a group of Vietnam vets from around the nation who have gathered, and they tossed a wreath into the St. Johns River in memory and honor of their fallen friends and those who fought. Do you find that even today, 45 years later, they harbor a lot of resentment about how they were treated upon homecoming, and they can't reconcile that?
Yes, that is clearly there. With them, it is actually the source of a great deal of their feeling not acknowledged in this country, and it is really what we're trying to do through this project, to allow them to know that they are, in fact, clearly recognized.
The book is called Welcome Home, A Monument of Honor. Certainly make a great gift to Vietnam-era vets and for their kids and grandchildren, so they know what Dad went through and Mom went through during the war. Available through most of the usual channels. Amazon,
well, you can locate it through the website, which is www.welcomemonument.com.
Okay.
And one thing I might say, just in passing, is women are very responding to this book and project and giving it to their husbands.
All right, we'll get that news link up for you on news4jax.com. Ross, it's a pleasure. It's a wonderful
My pleasure.
book.